That camper van you've been saving for? It might cost you 3 times what the sticker price says, and most buyers don't figure that out until it's too late. Some owners of popular Class B vans like the Winnebago Travato and Thor Sequence discover this the hard way after spending $15,000 fixing problems they never saw coming. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly which camper vans are quietly becoming money pits in 2026, which ones are actually worth the investment, and the 3 questions you need to ask before you sign anything. No fluff, no fanboy energy, just the math and the truth. Section 1. The illusion of the sticker price. Here's where most buyers get wrecked before they even leave the dealership lot. You see a camper van listed at $89,000. Maybe it's a Winnebago Travato, maybe it's a Thor Sequence. Looks reasonable, feels manageable. You run the loan numbers, you talk yourself into it, and you shake hands. What you didn't calculate, year 1 true cost of ownership. Insurance on a Class B camper van runs between $1,800 and $4,500 annually, depending on your state, your age, and how you're using it. Storage, if you're not full-timing, adds another $150 to $400 a month. Roadside assistance, extended warranty if you bought new, licensing fees, the initial setup costs, bedding, kitchen gear, solar upgrades, because almost every production van from a major manufacturer ships with an undersized solar system that won't run your fridge through a cloudy Oregon week. Add it up, and that $89,000 van costs you closer to $100,000 in the first 12 months. That's not a scare tactic, that's arithmetic. Now here's the contrast that matters. A professionally converted Mercedes Sprinter purchased from a reputable builder might run you $95,000 to $110,000 up front. Buyers look at that and flinch, but the components inside a quality custom build, Victron electrical, Webasto diesel heat, a properly insulated shell, are commercial grade. They don't fail at 40,000 miles. The production van's $200 propane heater might. The sticker price is the beginning of the conversation, not the end of it. Section 2. The 2026 market shift nobody's talking about. Something changed in the campervan market between 2022 and now, and it directly affects whether you're buying smart or buying regret. During the pandemic boom, manufacturers scaled up production fast. Too fast. They pushed vans out the door with supply chain shortcuts, thinner cabinetry, lower-rated electrical systems, components sourced from whoever could ship in time. Buyers were desperate, and dealerships had leverage. That combination never ends well for the person writing the check. Now, in 2026, that wave of pandemic-era builds, 2021, 2022, early 2023 models, is hitting the used market in volume, and this is either a huge opportunity or a huge trap, depending on how educated you are. The opportunity, depreciation. A 2022 Airstream Interstate 24 GL that sold for $168,000 new is now sitting on lots in the $115,000 to $125,000 range. That's real money left on the table by the original buyer, and it could be real value in your pocket if the van checks out mechanically. The trap, a lot of those same vans were driven hard, maintained inconsistently, and now carry problems that aren't visible in a walkthrough video. Water intrusion behind the walls, swollen cabinetry, electrical gremlins from systems that were pushed beyond spec, solar controllers that were never properly programmed. These aren't cheap fixes. A water damage repair on a production Class B can run $8,000 to $20,000 depending on how deep it goes. And one specific van category from the pandemic boom has quietly become the biggest repair nightmare on the used market right now. I'll show you exactly which one before this video ends. So, 2026 is genuinely a buyer's market in terms of price, but it punishes uneducated buyers harder than any previous year. The deals are real, the landmines are real. The difference is knowing which is which. Section 3. Van platforms. What the base actually means. Let's get into the hardware, because this is where buying decisions either get smart or sentimental. Almost every camper van on the American market is built on one of 4 platforms: Mercedes Sprinter, Ford Transit, Ram ProMaster, or Volkswagen's MQB platform underneath the California. Each of these has a different cost profile over 5 years, and most buyers completely ignore this.
The Mercedes Sprinter is the industry standard for a reason. It's capable, well-engineered, and holds its value. But Mercedes dealer networks are inconsistent. If you're buying a Sprinter-based van, a Storyteller Overland Mode, a Winnebago Revel, an Airstream Interstate, and you end up outside a major metro area with a mechanical issue, you may be waiting days for a service appointment. Parts availability has improved, but it's still not Ford Transit territory. If you're planning extended time in rural Montana or the Scottish Highlands, that matters. But here's what almost nobody tells you about the most popular platform in van life right now. The Ford Transit-based market has expanded significantly. The Thor Sanctuary, the Coachman Beyond, these are transit builds that benefit from one of the densest dealer and parts networks on the planet. You can get a transit worked on in almost any mid-sized town in North America or Western Europe. For full-timers or anyone doing long-distance travel away from population centers, that accessibility has real financial value that never shows up in the spec sheet. The Ram ProMaster platform is the budget play, and I mean that in both directions. Lower upfront cost, but also lower resale value in a weaker engine lineup for mountain driving. If your route involves serious elevation, Colorado, the Alps, the Cascades, the ProMaster is going to work harder and wear faster than the alternatives. It's not a bad van. It's a van with a specific use case that gets sold to people outside that use case constantly. And then there's the VW California. If you're in Europe, you've considered it. Brilliant engineering, genuinely clever design, impressive brand reputation. Also, expensive to service, parts lead times that can stretch weeks, and a size constraint that makes it genuinely cramped for anything beyond 2 adults on a 10-day trip. The California is aspirational. It's not a full-time living vehicle. Here's the rule: match the platform to your actual life, not your dream life. But the biggest financial mistake campervan buyers make in 2026 isn't the platform, the layout, or even the price.
Section 4. The controversial truth about new versus used. This is the part where I'll probably get some pushback in the comments, but it needs to be said directly. In 2026, buying a new production campervan from a major manufacturer is almost never the financially intelligent move. I know that stings if you've had your heart set on walking into a dealership and driving off in something that smells like fresh upholstery, but follow the logic. A new Class B from a Tier 1 manufacturer depreciates 15 to 22% in the first year. On a $100,000 van, that's $15,000 to $22,000 gone before you've done your second oil change. You are paying a massive premium to be the first person to sleep in it. That premium buys you a warranty, which matters, but it also buys you the privilege of discovering whatever manufacturing defects the factory didn't catch, because first-year owners are effectively beta testers for any new model year. The smart play in this market is a 2022 or 2023 model with documented service history purchased from a private seller or a quality consignment dealer, inspected by an independent RV mechanic before you commit. You absorb none of the first-year depreciation. You can often see the real-world performance data, how the electrical system handles sustained use, whether the roof vents leak in heavy rain, how the cab integrates with the living space over time. The caveat, and this is important, is that this strategy requires patience and diligence. If you're going to buy used, you need to budget for a pre-purchase inspection, not the dealership's inspection, an independent one run by someone whose job isn't to close the sale. That inspection costs $300 to $600, and it can save you $15,000. It is the best money you will spend in this entire process. New makes sense in one scenario. You have a very specific configuration need that the used market can't fulfill, you value the warranty deeply, and you can absorb the depreciation without it being a financial stressor. If all three of those are true, buy new without guilt. If even one of them isn't, used is the call. Section 5. The 3 hidden costs that break budgets. Even buyers who've done their homework tend to miss these 3 specific cost categories. They're not hidden because manufacturers are dishonest. They're hidden because buyers don't think to ask. First, electrical system upgrades.
This is also the answer to the pandemic-era repair nightmare I mentioned earlier. Factory solar and lithium systems in most Class B vans, especially those 2021 and 2022 builds that flooded the market, are designed to be adequate, not capable. Adequate means you can run your lights, charge your devices, and maybe power a small fan. Capable means you can run a residential-style fridge, work remotely on multiple devices, and stay comfortable through 3 consecutive overcast days. The gap between adequate and capable costs $2,000 to $6,000 in aftermarket electrical work, additional lithium battery capacity, a proper charge controller, potentially a DC to DC charger to pull energy from the alternator while you drive. This isn't optional for serious use. Budget for it up front, or you'll pay for it frustrated mid-trip from a parking lot. Second, climate system reality. Manufacturers list temperature ranges for heating and cooling systems that reflect controlled conditions, not real-world use. If you're buying a van to use in the American Southwest in summer, or in Scandinavia in January, you need to know specifically how that vehicle handles thermal extremes and what the power draw is when it's doing so. Many buyers discover their factory air conditioning system is genuinely insufficient for desert heat only after they've signed the paperwork. Diesel heaters are the gold standard for cold weather van living. Propane is cheaper up front and more expensive and less safe long term. Know which one you have and what it costs to run. Third, chassis maintenance on high-mileage used vehicles. If you're buying a used Sprinter or Transit with over 60,000 miles, factor in a full preventative maintenance reset. New belts, fluid flushes, brake inspection, tire replacement if needed. On a Sprinter, this comprehensive service can run $2,500 to $4,500 at a quality independent shop. It's not a crisis, it's a scheduled expense. The crisis is when buyers don't budget for it and it hits them 6 months after purchase when they're already tight. Section 6. Who should buy and who should wait? Let me be direct here, because this channel exists to help you make a smart decision, not to sell you on van life as a lifestyle. Buy now if you have a clear use case, full timing, extended retirement travel, family adventures with a fixed annual mileage target, you've researched your platform, you have a realistic budget that includes the true year one cost, not just the purchase price. You've identified an independent mechanic in your home region who works on your van's chassis, and you can absorb a $5,000 surprise without it being a catastrophic incident. If that's you, the 2026 market actually has strong opportunities, particularly in the $70,000 to $110,000 range for quality used builds. Wait if you're buying primarily based on the aesthetic of van life, rather than a concrete travel plan. You haven't costed out the full ownership picture, you're stretched at the purchase price and have no financial buffer, or if you're expecting a van to solve something, loneliness, restlessness, a need for change that it fundamentally cannot solve. A van is an incredible tool for people who know how they're going to use it. For everyone else, it's an expensive lesson. Here's where I land after watching this market closely and talking to hundreds of buyers at every stage of this process. The camper van industry in 2026 is producing genuinely capable vehicles, but it's also doing an expert job of marketing aspiration to people who haven't done the math. The dream is real, the freedom is real, but the financial reality is that this is a depreciating asset with significant ongoing costs, and buyers who ignore that going in tend to exit the market bitter, not liberated. The buyers who thrive in this space, the ones who are 2-3 years in and still love it, are the ones who bought deliberately. They matched the vehicle to their actual life. They budgeted honestly. They inspected thoroughly. They chose a platform they could support mechanically. They bought used when it made sense and new only when it didn't. That's not a complicated formula. It just requires slowing down long enough to think before you sign. In 2026, the worst camper vans aren't the cheapest ones. They're the ones people bought without understanding the math. If you already own a camper van, what's the one expense that shocked you the most? And if you're shopping right now, tell me which platform you're considering. Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, Ford Transit, or Ram ProMaster, because some of them age much better than others.